Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. Award season is coming to a close, and it's apparent that there's much work left to do when it comes to the representation of Black women in Hollywood. I spoke with actor, writer, and 2021 Out 100 honoree Dalila Ali Rajah about the Woman King director Gina Prince-Bythewood calling out Hollywood and uncomfortable truths the entertainment business must face. Welcome, Dalila Ali Rajah, actor and multi-hyphenate storyteller. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I always love to chat with you, Tracy.
Oh, likewise, likewise. Well, we are here to, as a jumping off point, discuss director Gina Prince-Bythewood's story in The Hollywood Reporter about how The Woman King was not snubbed, that it was a reflection.
It was shut out.
Yeah, it was shut out. And Gina, who has also done The Old Guard and Beyond the Lights and Love and Basketball.
And Secret Life of Bees. Like, she has just incredible, beautiful work, none of which has ever been recognized by the Academy as it should be.
Right, right. Well, so we want to talk about this because it is a travesty. And Gina said that this is not a snub, it's a reflection of where Hollywood is and what Hollywood thinks of Black women in particular. And of course, Gina directed The Woman King, which is an excellent, important film with incredible. Yeah. So I wonder, would you talk a little bit at first about your reaction to Gina's piece and some of the things that were said in it?
Oh, girl. Well, first of all, I love the film so much. Like, I came out of that theater like screaming the war cry and like feeling like this like sense of very aware of the sense of like how the world tries to put Black women in their place or like put them back in their place when they feel like they've done too much or you've gotten too big. My aunt used to say too big for your britches, very Southern, you know what I mean? And it made me feel like you ain't gonna be able to put me nowhere. Like, that's the feeling that, and I got messages from friends all over of all races saying that they felt a very, very similar thing. And so reading this article, like after she got snubbed, like seeing that she didn't get nominated for any of that, I was like, the film was robbed. The performances were incredible. The storytelling was beautiful. It was centered in these women's relationship stories, and it was moving. They were also just badasses. Do you know what I'm saying? And Gina's whole article was a word. I mean, she was preaching. Like, she was very. I have not seen her in the news be that transparent about things that were. A lot of people around her would see like, oh, this should have gotten more recognition or this should have gotten more recognition. So I'm glad that she decided to speak out because it's such an obvious, for no Black woman to ever have been nominated.
Right.
None. It's 95 years, friends.
Well, no Black women
directors
have been nominated for directing, but I think very few Black men have ever been nominated for directors.
Also facts.
Maybe like 2 or 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Seriously,
yeah.
I know. I can think of Spike Lee off the top of my head.
Yes.
Other than that,
it's still. I think he deserved it the year that Malcolm was up, and he didn't get it. The thing that she said in the article that really stood out to me was that piece about how many people she ran into, and she's getting nominated for like the Critics' Choice and all this other stuff. So clearly, it is a critical darling. Everybody who's watching it is loving it. It's made over $100 million. Clearly, audiences love it, and that can't just be Black people, and it can't just be Black women for it to be that much money, right? But she said that so many people who were her peers from the Academy and these other were like telling her, oh, I just had to be dragged there, or I tried to get a colleague to go, but they just said they didn't think it was for them. And so they didn't watch it, or they watched it and they were shocked that they related to it or liked it. And it's like, okay, first of all, the obliviousness that they didn't realize how fucked up that is to say to a creator, right? Like that, oh, I had to be dragged because I looked at all this trailer with all these Black women and I thought, oh, I just can't possibly relate to that. We watch y'all all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that, then they did like it, but it's like, you don't have enough people that are watching it. Like, clearly not everybody watched it. I mean, that's just a part, and that's a fundamental part of the problem. And then you see like what happened with To Leslie, which just a very strategic campaign using personal capital and personal relationships was enough to get somebody who would have been in obscurity nominated. And I'm not saying it's bad that she got nominated. I like for indie films to find their footing and for those amazing performances to get out there, but nobody's doing that for Black women.
Right. Right. Yeah. And Gina really, you know, pointed that out. And we should say, so this, you're talking about the film To Leslie, which is an independent film I hadn't heard about until I started seeing it on the, social feeds of some celebrities, and white celebrities, I should say, to be specific. And I thought, oh, okay, I like Andrea Riseborough, who's the star. There was a real push for her to be nominated for an Oscar. I liked her in Battle of the Sexes. She was excellent in this movie. Please, Baby, Please. That was an Outfest film for which I was on the jury. And she's a great actress. However, that's exactly the point, that no one is doing that for Black women. And yeah, so wonderful that you bring that up. And also Gina mentioned that other films by Black women directors this year were shut out, and that would be Alice Diop's Saint Omer, and then also Chinyonye Chukwu's Till, which was a really big one to be left out, especially for the performance of Danielle Deadwyler, who played Emmett Till's mom, and she was incredible in that film. So the interesting thing is the director of Till actually went on Instagram and took it a step further and really went into the misogynoir behind it. So it's a little bit of a long way for me to get to that point. But would you talk about misogynoir in particular and why it's so insidious?
Well, first of all, it's internalized like colonial thinking. Like the first thing we have to decolonize is our brains, right? So like Black people being indoctrinated through this colonial system, the Black men getting pulled into this patriarchal system, so that then it becomes this kind of insidious thing within the community where we as Black women are experiencing all kinds of like microaggressions or aggressions or certain things of being put down or looked down upon by even by Black men. You know what I'm saying? And it's within the community and within a cultural paradigm, but all that stuff was learned. Do you know what I'm saying? It was learned and passed down through this thinking that's been pushed upon us. And we have to find some way to like deconstruct it, because there are some Black men who do have the stature that they could have perhaps done at least some parts of like those kind of campaigns for Black women. But I don't think that that's happening either. Like we're not like working together to uplift each other either all the time. Some of us are, but some of us just aren't. And it shows up in, I think, a lot of how our art and creativity are received, and that there's sometimes a disconnect in understanding parts of what the story's trying to convey because it's centered in a woman's perspective. And I think it's even hard for a lot of men in our society, actually of any race, to actually put themselves in a woman's perspective and be willing to like actually take it in and actually see the world through those eyes, and not just whatever things come up around that to sit with them. I think it's a similar thing that causes a lot of white people to not want to watch Black films. It's the same things like, well, I didn't think this was for me. Or you didn't want to sit with the uncomfortable feelings around slavery, and you didn't want to sit with the uncomfortable feelings about the fact that what happened with Emmett Till, and that this white lady is still free, even though she's actually acknowledged that this was a lie, and she's never been charged. Nobody's ever taken any responsibility or had any repercussions from some of the stuff that happens. And I think that that's a hard thing for people to sit with. But the reality is, if we're going to be peers as artists in these organizations, we sit with your things that aren't comfortable for us all the time. Like that's what we have to do. We have to sit through and see these stories. It's the nature of being not the dominant culture. And if what you're saying as artists that you really want the world to change and shift and evolve, you have to be willing to sit in the uncomfortable.
Yeah, incredibly well said. Thank you for that. Thank you, Dalila Ali Rajah, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for always amplifying voices and asking insightful questions. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much to Dalila for joining me. I always love our chats. Her work and passion inspire me, and her voice is incredibly needed during this time. We'll have more from my conversation with the former Out 100 honoree in a future episode. In the meantime, the Advocate channel is available wherever you stream for more of my full interviews, or you can visit us online at advocatechannel.com for more content and coverage. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and I'll see you next time.